Hi everyone, my name is Ben Robitaille. I am your realtor for Royal LePage In Touch Realty in Midland, Ontario. And today I've got your market update for May of 2023, where we'll dive into everything that happened last month in the real estate market in the majority of Simcoe County and South Muskoka. Over things like average price, trends, and where the market is heading coming into the summer months. So let's start off with Midland, Ontario. So Midland for the month of April saw a slight decrease in the average sale price, going from $642 in March down to $599 in April. If we look at the number of sales for Midland, actually increased slightly, going from 24 to 28 sales in April. The number of new listings decreased slightly, going from 41 in March to 37 in April. And the average percentage of original list price actually crossed over 100% for the first time since May of 2022 at 100.1%. Next up, let's look at Penetanguishene. So the average sale price dropped here as well, going from $828 in March to $571 in April. Now the number of sales is usually quite low in Penetang, so went from 10 to 13. It's a fairly small sample size, so your average price for these areas are just going to depend on what house is sold and not necessarily reflect what the overall market is doing in terms of price. For that, we'll have to zoom out and look at Simcoe County as a whole. If we look at the number of new listings in Penetang, also dropped, going from 28 in March to 21 in April. And finally, the percentage of original list price dropped from 100.2% in March to 96.8% in April. Moving along now to Tiny Township, we had a slight decrease in the average sale price, going from $953 in March to $928 in April. Number of sales saw a slight increase here, going from 19 to 20 last month. Number of new listings is decreasing here as well, going from 72 in March to 60 in April. And the percentage of original list price dropped here as well, going from 98.4% in March to 97.4% in April. So a pretty insignificant decrease. Next up, let's look at Tay Township. So in Tay, we saw a slight decrease in the average sale price here as well, going from $735 in March to $660 in April. Number of sales here increased, going from 14 in March to 22 in April. So a pretty significant increase for the area, but as I mentioned, it's a small sample size, so you can't really extrapolate anything from this specific area. Once again, we'll zoom out and see what Simcoe County as a whole has to offer at the end of the video. The number of new listings here, slight decrease, going from 38 to 37 in April. And the percentage of original list price dropped, going from 97.1% in March to 96% flat in April. Next, let's look at Oro-Medonte. So Oro-Medonte saw an increase in the sale price, going from just over $1.068 million in March to $1.147 in April. The number of sales here stayed consistent at 27 across the last 2 months. The number of new listings in Oro dropped in April, going from 68 to 55. And the percentage of original list price increased slightly, going from 96.6% to 97.6%. Next, let's look at Severn Township. So the average sale price, slight decrease in Severn Township for April, going from $745 in March to $741 in April. Number of sales here is usually relatively low. We had 25 in March, going to 17 in April. The number of new listings also saw a decrease. We're seeing slight decreases in new listings everywhere, going from 52 in March to 46 in April. And finally, the percentage of original list price increased a fair amount, going from 95.3% in March to 98.1% in April. Next up, we have Aurelia. So Aurelia saw a slight decrease in the average sale price, going from $665 to $657 in April. The number of sales also decreased slightly, going from 47 in March to 42 in April. The number of new listings also decreasing here, going from 68 in March to 51 in April. And finally, the percentage of list price for Aurelia rose slightly, going from 95.1% in March to 97% in April. And basically all that means is that the houses are being priced more accurately, closer to market value. And as a result, we're seeing that number get closer to 100. Next up, let's look at Barrie. So Barrie saw a slight increase in their average sale price, going from $726 in March to $755 in April. Number of sales also, we're seeing a slight increase here, going from 196 in March to 202 in April. New listings in Barrie decreased slightly, going from 354 to 335. And finally, the percentage of list price for Barrie, slight increase, going from 98.4% in March to 98.9% in April. I like this graph in particular because you can see here where the pandemic prices happened. The start of the pandemic was right around here, and then we quickly rose above that 100% mark at the height of craziness here in February 2022, and then that steep and sudden drop off due to the rising interest rates right here. But as you can see, the market's kind of leveled off, and we're starting to see some slight increases again. Next, let's look at Springwater. So Springwater saw a slight decrease, going from 1.231 in March down to 1.136 in April. The number of sales in Springwater did increase, going from 28 in March to 32 in April, so the slightest increase. The number of new listings saw a slight decrease, going from 62 to 58. And the percentage of original list price rose slightly from 95.8% to 96.4%. Next up, we have Wasaga Beach. So Wasaga Beach saw a slight decrease, going from $727 in March to $713 in April for their average sale price. The number of sales here increased slightly, going from 50 to 53 in April. The number of new listings for Wasaga Beach also increased ever so slightly, which is kind of the opposite of what the rest of the communities are doing, but we went from 114 in March to 116 in April. Now, Wasaga Beach being a beach community, a cottage community, typically you will see a little bit more activity over the summer months, as you can see by the rest of the graph here. And finally, if we go to percentage of original list price, we're going from 95.2% in March to 95.6% in April. Next, we'll look at Collingwood. So Collingwood saw a slight increase in their average sale price, going from $737 in March to $814 in April. The number of sales here also saw a sharp increase, going from 23 to 50. That's over 100% increase. New listings also skyrocketing in Collingwood. Kind of an outlier here with the statistics, but going from 87 new listings in March to 105 new listings in April. And lastly, the percentage of list price rose slightly from 94.7% to 96.3% in April. Last, let's zoom out and take a big picture overview of Simcoe County as a whole. So if we look at the average price across Simcoe County, we actually saw a slight increase, going from $788,960 in March to $792,54 in April. This seems consistent with what a lot of economists were saying with the market bottoming out a couple months ago. So if we look back, this is probably your bottom over here, and we're actually seeing small incremental increases. So long as the interest rates remain the same throughout the rest of the year, I think prices will start to creep back up ever so slightly. If we look at the number of sales, we're also starting to increase. Normal for springtime. To see more market activity. We went from 577 sales in March to 635 sales in April. The number of new listings, however, I think we're going to see a decrease, and we are. So we had 1,214 new listings in March, and we're down to 1,137 new listings in April. So if we look at the percentage of original list price, we've kind of leveled out over the last few months in terms of price with rate holds, etc. So I think homes are being priced more appropriately from the start of their listing now. So if we look, we're closer to that 100% mark. We went from 96.9% in March to 97.7% in April. So that's all I have for you this week. If you like this video, think about hitting that like button. And if you really like knowing what's going on in the real estate market, consider subscribing to our channel. We'd love to have you on board. If you want to talk to me directly about what's going on in real estate or planning your next move in real estate, you can book a meeting right into my calendar in the link below. But until then, I hope you're doing well, and we'll see you in the next video.